Thank you, Judge Bluff. Roll call, please, Jennifer.
Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jamie Pluff. Here. Greg DeMontier, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt. Here. Bing Matt, James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Two Teeth,
I'm here.
Lanice Trahan. Here.
With that, we'll have the flag song.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Now we'll proceed to the election of council officers. Need a nomination. a motion, I guess. Oh, no, we'll just do a motion for the election we had inside. I would take a motion from somebody to accept the voting that we've done. Motion by Martin to install the officers that we have already voted on by acclamation. Need a second? Do you want to do them individually? Which one do you want to start with,
I'll
Martin?
make the motion to nominate Michael Dolson as chairman.
I accept. Need a second? Second by Carol. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? It's all right. We'll go for the vice chair now.
I nominate Jamie.
Jamie. Motion by, nomination by James for Jamie. Second by Lynn. All in favor? Unanimous. For secretary? Nomination by Carol for Danny. Second by Bing. All in favor? Unanimous.
Nominate Carol for treasurer.
Nomination by James for Carol for treasurer. Second by Danny. All in favor? We have our officers and we'll take a break, and to take a break, we do have breakfast available. It came in just while we were getting all set up, so we'll take a break and please go get some food. Oh, we need the honor song first. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm lump, so. With that, we can take the break and eat, but Bing, will you give us a prayer for the meal? Bing, will you give us a prayer for the meal? Stephen? Okay, I'll go ask him. We'll come back to order, and I hope everybody's had a chance to get some bacon. This is the place in the agenda where we ask elders if any elders would like to say something. Are you talking today, Stephen? Yeah, I know. We're
Is it on? That's quick special. Could you hear me? Happy New Year. And I remember every year I come here and we used to go to Quicker Shoes when I was very young, when I was about like that, maybe long. We used to go out there and we'd have our jump dances. New Year's coming in. And like last night, we'd go out there and we'd take our guns at midnight and at Quicker Shoes. And we'd jump dance, say, let's go. Old man Quicker said, let's go out and let's shoot our guns. There'd be about 5 guns there. Take their guns out there and, okay, let's go. Bang, bang, they would be shooting around. Coming into New Year's, and we'd go back in there and we'd start jump dancing. Oh, the old man would say, it's we, uwakuk kami, sanuskwitu, yukas, sitchkas hashhat. Then there'd somebody get up and start dancing. Hey, 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 and at the end you say, aha, hey, aha, hey. Het is een sprintje, het is een oorsprong. Kom je gaat zoeken, coach. We'd all, we'd have a good day, New Year's, and make this a better year than last year, And then we'd out and we'd eat, and then we'd jump dance again, jump dance all night. He said, what's this about? You're just jumping around, Somebody asked me last night, what's the deal on this? I was just joking him. I said, you look for a good looking woman, then just go grab her and you guys jump together. And he said, well, you're just kidding me. So anyway, Happy New Year, It's a good time, Leave the bad ones behind and get ones to come in with the good. I'm going to quit my drinking. I haven't drank in 50 years. Maybe I should go the other way. I'll start drinking again. Somebody last night said, you know, I quit drinking for 35 years and I got nothing to do, except go home and watch cartoons. You know, there's so many things we could do. Let's be happy. Let's let's be friends. Let's not be enemies. Not be shaman. That's what you call it. Don't be enemies. I'm enemies with the drummers over here. I have to sit with them. And I got no choice. It's good time to get together. Tamashetukeskut. I've been teaching for 23 years. Submit. It's you. Tamashetukespuus. Pete Beaverhead used to say, hang on to that language. Some of these days the government's going to come in. Any more Indians? I'm not cutting you guys down now. Don't say that. They'll say no. Well, I guess we'll have to sell the whole thing. The tribe. He's moving in. I hate to say this. No, I'm not. Hey, yeah, I'm not scared to say. Well, you shouldn't be saying these things because there might be some Republicans in here. But I don't care. We're all friends. How come everybody look at that there? So anyway, I like to be happy. I like to make people laugh. I like to be somebody. This is our time. We're Indian people. We should be happy. And go out there and say, Happy New Year. And all that. Instead of just that face. Jim, that face, come in and we should all be happy and have a good time. Long time ago. That's why the jump dances were. Jump dances at midnight. Myrna, they take the guns out at midnight. They didn't shoot anybody. Today, I don't know. And instead of throwing firecrackers at throwing firecrackers, that's not our way. You know, I'm like I was saying, maybe I'm in the old ways. Old times, 1939. And somebody told me, Steve, everything's changed. And it did. It's changed. But we got to live. We got to make people happy. Got our kids. And they make us happy. Even if they're bosses, but they make us happy. And things like that. And today, we should all be happy, all work together. And surprise us. Surprise us elders. That's another thing about the elders. We should help the elders. I remember when Pat Pure was still alive, he would say he'd go check on the elders. You know, it should be like that. Come and check on us, and it's you get your pills and all that stuff. You need your ride. And respect our elders again. Turn that around. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys do respect your elders and help each other. And all that. Be just nice. Oops. Be nice. See, she's getting my coffee. I just said something and she went and got some coffee for us. That's the way it should be, you know. Help us out and be happy, you know. Because some of these days you guys will get old, you know. And set that up, you know, set it up for you guys, right? Tama siya ito coach, kaya kasuwaw siya ito ispos, chumat kamachas, may ito in kusam, so kaya siya, so kaswenchi, kasi apkeni, so siya, ukas may, so siya katit kami, siya ka chochoshich, we teach all that, you know, and holler and run and be happy, you know. And that's what I think, you know, that's what I know. I come through these trails. I remember Pete Beaverhead used to say, how do you know you haven't went through this trail, you know, when you're young yet. I went through these trails. I went through this alcohol. I went through all that, you know. And now today, they said, did you go through those trails? No, I haven't. They went yet. That Pete Beaverhead would say, today, I used to cut the wood all the time up in the woods and know all these places, you know. Now I can't do it anymore. I just got storytelling. I used to be up there. I used to get a cord of wood for $60, you know, and I'd cut all day, you know. Yeah, what you need. So anyway, you're using my garbage. I like to tease around, you know. I like to make people laugh, you know, and stuff like that. But now all I got is stories, you know. Sometimes I need help. Sometimes, you know, all these things, you know. We should help each other. We're all relatives, you know. I'm next Jim. So that's the way we are, you know. So anyway, these two coyotes this one coyote and this one fox were going along, you know. And he said he was just hungry. They're both hungry. And this one coyote said, "Boy, I'm just hungry." He said, "Me too." He said, "What can we do?" He said, "There's a semi." You know what a semi is? He's partly white and partly Indian. They live down here. A Frenchman. He said, we'll go sell your hide." He said, "Sell the hide?" "Yeah, we'll sell your hide." He said. This coyote was talking to the fox. The fox said, "Boy, you got such a nice fur, nice tail." He he said, "We'll sell it and we'll get some food. We'll trade. Soon as they take you out, they'll throw you down there and you take off." And then the fox was thinking, boy, they were going finally. He said, "Coyote," he said, your body's, your fur will be just long and we'll get a lot of food, you know." He said, "Okay," he said. So he put him on his shoulder, went over, knocked on the door, you know, and he said, it's a Frenchman come out. Then he looked around. Then the fox said, "Hey," he said, "I come to trade you this fur. It's a winter fur. You know, winter furs are just long, you know." He said, "I come to trade you for some food." He looked at it. "Oh, yeah, let's trade." He said, "I'll go get some food and stuff." He put it in a bag, you know. Then he put it in a bag and he took off. He said, "I'll meet you way up there." Our Lady, you go way up there where those rocks are. He said, I'll meet you there. So he took off up there and he waited, he took that coyote out and, uh, and he threw him down and he grabbed him by the head and he had a knife already. Cut his head off and he threw it like that. Still, he had his eyes open, and he put his body over here. So he waited and waited. The fox said, I don't know what happened. He said, I should go down and check on him. So he went all the way back down there. Here his head was over here and his body was over here. Still had his eyes open. He got in trouble again. He went, took his head and he put it right beside his body. He stepped over 3 times. Right in where they step over 3 times and they come back. And he said, how long was I been sleeping here? Oh man. Then he started thinking, that's right, we got our food. That's the first thing he thought is about food. And he said, he's up here. So he got up and the fox was already up there and he chased him up there. He said, well, we're going to eat. Then while the fox was waiting, he kept eating, over here. He was eating, he was looking, he was eating, and then the food was getting down. Then pretty soon the fox got worried. Oh, he took off, He took off, he's chasing him, went around. Then this rock, this really big boulder, which looks like it was, you seen these, Jim, it looks like it's going to fall, but it's not falling. Then the coyote went over there and he had an idea. He put his hands up there, and pretty soon the fox come around. He said, if I let this boulder go, it's going to roll on both of us. He said, could you go get that? Could you get that stick, and wedge it? He said, okay. He went and grabbed that stick, took off. Very soon the coyote was standing there. Very soon he started sweating. Very soon he made the cross and the name of the Father and Son. I guess this is it, He let go and that rock was still there, Any questions? They didn't even laugh at it's a coyote story, And that rock is still there. I drive right by it. I joke. But anyway, and I'll tell you one more, make you guys happy. Is that all right? I got the floor. Who in the hell is he? He just gets up and gets anywhere. One time this one guy, is Tom around? And we're going down this. We went way up there on this Mission Dam. We had a canoe there. We're going along. Tom said, Steve, I'm going to tell you a story. I said, oh, a story? Good story, yeah. And I started listening, and he said, one time this guy lived way up in the mountains, He had a beard, He was, what is he? Not a hippie, but, he stayed way up there. He said, 30, 40 years he was up there. He said, I'm going to go back down and see if anybody knows me, my relative. So he got ready to start coming down. He started coming down and this trail, and first thing he heard, he looked, he seen it coming. He heard that it was a grizzly bear. He was coming up, Mission Trail, So he come around and he seen this big tree. Grizzly bears can't climb, So he went and he climbed up this tree, and this grizzly bear got there, up there. Oh, a meal right there. And he started pushing that tree. Yeah, it was a pine, I think. So he started pushing it. He couldn't get it down. It just moved it, you know. Then finally the bear kind of gave up. Well, I'm going to go down the trail, you know. He got up and he started going down the trail, you know. And pretty soon this guy come down, you know. He started going down the trail, you know. Pretty soon he heard this, "Hurf, hurf, hurf." Two bears were coming. Two bears, boy. Grizzly bears. He went and got his cousin, I guess. They went and they, same tree, climbed up there, you know. They were moving this tree, you know. They barely could move it, you know. Finally, they gave up, you know. Then they got down there. They went down the trail, you know. Very soon he was, well, I guess I'm safe. He went down there. He went back down the trail and he started going. Very soon he heard this. "Hurf, hurf, 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 hurf." He looked and there was these two big grizzly bears, and they one got a beaver, you know. And we voted those guys in. Yeah. Did you guys catch it? Nobody caught it? And he was carrying a steel saw. I said, that's enough. Nobody even laughs at my jokes. Tom, you're the one that told me that story. And I was really leaning against him. And I said, oh, I thought this was a true story. And he bust out laughing. Here you go. Thank you for letting me have the 2 minutes.
Thank you,
And
Stephen.
good luck to your new council members.
Do we have any other elders that wish to say something this morning?
I wanted to show you something I got for Christmas because I'm having a hard time with my lungs now, but somebody knows that the way you heal my lungs. My real name is Kumsta, and I'm going to be working on a CD about Kumsta having the blues. My original plan, yes. I got out of the last hospital in February and it was St. Luke's. I didn't know whether I would be in a wheelchair or whether my life would be like. In 6 years, everything changed. Well, I got bit in Hawaii by a little centipede. And when I got to Montana, they sent me to Salt Lake to have my leg baloney chopped. And when I got there, the 5th day, I got COVID. So they called that, flew me back to Montana where my family is and could visit me. And they said I'd be in the hospital for a while. I didn't believe 6 years. But here I am. I want to wish you all the best. And I'm gonna be, I've watched this tribe grow 3/4 of a century. I hope I'm here when it turns 100. I hope we all are. But this one covers everybody. I respect for the old. Yeah, give your all the new. Yeah, yeah, for the old. Give your all to the new. This song came from me, and when I first started, we used to have 49ers, and I I learned about the 49ers was actually a ghost dance at one time. A leader named Wovoka brought it to the world. But when we was, I think there's a couple of us know what a 49er is. If you're all to the new, hey, oh, hey, oh, every for the old, hey, give your all to the new, hey, 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 oh, hey, hey, oh. Hey, oh. Hey, oh. So that one you can record it. You can do anything you want. That's your song now.
Nobody?
my my great grandmother was from Port Robinson. Met my grandfather when they got back, or the Cree Trail of Tears from Red River Valley. They met on Hill 57 in Great Falls. And so I know that most of us here have some Cree blood in us. So you're going to see this. It comes from my mom's side of the family. And so, gosh, I'm going to be going back to Hawaii. I wanted to, when I got bit, I was on the way here to tell the people that Hawaii built HUD-VAS homes for veterans, their veterans, and they asked me if I wanted to be included, they put me on the list, then they give me a call. They said, now's the time. And when I got over there, on the way over there, the first person at the airport in Seattle died of COVID. So when I got over to Hawaii, they went through COVID badly. They're small people. There are not many of them. So they're hurting really bad for tribal members. And so they lowered the blood degree to 1/4. If you go to Hawaii and your child is 1/4, it become what they call Hawaiian homeland. So yeah, I just wish the best for everybody. And this is my way of praying. And the Creator told me this is okay. It's not the Jesuits no more, the sisters. This is us. So God bless you. I'm gonna take off because my secret, I'm putting up my 20-footer at Little Prairie. See how long I can be Indian.
Malam's Kumsta. Happy New Year. Is there any other elders that want to say something? Come on up, Francie.
Granny Franny, Franny from Ronani. I just want to start off to welcome our new ones up there. I feel that we're going to have a great 26. I feel it, and the way we feel, what we think, we could become. So the only thing I want to do for 26 is just put up our surroundings with positiveness, to speak positive. Be careful what comes out from here. This could be a weapon to hurt people or build people up. So be careful. It all depends on each and every one of us individuals as one, how we represent ourselves for our youth, for the elders. They see us gossiping around or talking. We're to build each other up as a unity of one. So I feel good about 26. And so let's all work together as one for our children, for our elders. And just respect each other, love one another, bring positiveness into this world instead of negative, toxic things. We need to speak. You could speak sickness into yourself. Oh, it's Monday. Oh my gosh. Instead of say, hey, it's Monday. I got a job. I got a roof over my head. Hey, I got this or that. My children are alive next to me. All my grandchildren. Let's get rid of the negativity and be grateful for everything we have and represent ourselves as we should to everyone around us. Everyone around us. Positiveness, positive for 26. It's all I pray for and ask. Great. I know together as one they talk about a village. Let us be a village. Work together as one instead of separate. Everybody is their own individual. We need to be a unity of one. So with that, I leave just saying God bless everybody and happy 2026, and let it be a great one for each and every one of us. Right.
Happy New Year, Franny. With that, we'll open the floor to any of the members that would like to say something. I guess we don't have anybody on the list, but if there's anybody that would like to speak, the floor is open. Go ahead and come up.
That's Squext, everybody. I'm here today. A couple weeks ago, I was offered a job, and Monday I would like to officially accept that job. It is for the administrative assistant for Natalie. So I look forward to working with everybody up here this coming few years, as well as the community for all community support programs. Thank you.
Welcome. Well, if there isn't anybody else, then we'll move to the next agenda item, which is the legislative update with Shane, Shelley, Jacinda, and Thetis. Welcome. Happy New Year. If you'll turn the microphone on, that'd be great.
Is it on now? There, okay, good. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see Thetis on your screen. She's going to be great. Okay. Well, I'll start. Hesquext. My name is Jacinda Morjo. I am a current state senator representing Ronan to Arlee, a little bit of Rattlesnake, over the mountain, all the way up to Condon. I finished my first year and I have 3 more years, one full session more, and then I'll be running again.
Pesquex, Pesia. My name is Shelley Fyan. I'm the representative for House District 12, which covers Ronan south through Arlee, skips the town of St. Ignatius, goes over the tribal primitive area, the Rattlesnake Wilderness, and the Upper Rattlesnake. And I have a 2-year term. I'll be up for election again in November.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Thetis. Welcome.
Good morning, Chairman Dolson. I represent House District 15, which is a rather large district. So I cover the southern half of the Blackfeet Reservation, hop over the Continental Divide, and I have Pend Oreille Glacier Flathead and the southeast portion of Lake County down to Pistol Creek. So I have east of Highway 93 and the majority of that area there along the Mission Mountains. So I'm really pleased to be here, and I apologize for not being there in person. I'm just getting over a really bad case of the flu. So it would have been kind of tough hopping over the mountains this morning. So I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get us kicked off. We have a short bit of things we want to talk about. So this past session was all of our first sessions, but we were in some pretty big committees. During the session, I was in business and labor, education, and state administration. And then during this interim, I have been on the school funding interim commission. So we're looking at the public school funding all over Montana, and then as well as just like public school in general. And then I'm also on the state administration and veterans affairs committees. So we're doing studies on possibly moving the primary date, but one of the big ones is voter file maintenance. And there's a lot of what we say bad actors who are trying to find conspiracies where there aren't any. But that's just some of the interim work that we're doing. Outside of the legislature, more broadly, a few months ago, I was presenting to you all with Christina Lucero and Denise Juno about the Pathways to Sovereignty program that we are working through as the Montana American Indian Caucus, all of the tribal governments, as well as some few other law partners. And we have our meeting coming up in a few weeks, which I believe Chair Dolson and Councilman Steele are going to. I feel like you guys are on the email. 2 people are going, I hope still, will be there. But broadly, this program, we are trying to find 1 or 2 key bills, pieces of legislation that we, as tribal governments all through Montana agree on and feel like are priorities for all of us so that we can have a lot of push behind it. We'll have a lot of research. We're going to have this whole year of research and prep for these 1 to 2 bills that we're going to hope to bring, or that we will bring in 2027. But more broadly than that, I really wanted to also address the membership. Hi, everyone. And then hello, everyone on Zoom. If we still want your ideas to come to us, like individually, if you have ideas. There were some good ideas brought forth during our last meeting when we presented before council. But I feel like within all of Indian country, we have definitely some good ideas that we can tackle at the state level. And we just are encouraging everyone to know who we are, text us. I prefer texts, text, email us, call us, because we are your state-wide representatives. We are your legislators who can, we interact with the the statewide agencies, and we just really want to be that loud voice for all of our Native people in Montana. So the next thing I wanted to briefly touch on was this past, well, for many years, you all probably know, there's been the disagreement with Lake County and CSKT about PL 280, and they're threatening to retrocede out of that agreement and, asking for money from the state. And so there's been a lot of going on. But this past session, the Lieutenant Governor Juris, brought all of us together in Helena multiple times to really work on this problem and figure out if we can get some money, what's going to happen. And through the governor, and those meetings, there was one time funding available. I understand that the first bit of funding has come through, and there's just some hold up a little bit to get the rest of the funding, but I really want to highlight that because it really showed that between the 3 different governments, we can make some forward movement and we can really have our voices be heard. I'm just looking at my notes here, apologies. I feel like I think that's one success that we had, and I was glad to be a partner with you all, and I look forward to partnering with the new council members going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Marjo, I just want to personally thank you for working with the Republican senators and what's kind of referred to by the Republican Party, the Nasty Nine, that moved over and voted with you Democrats to make sure that our government moves forward and we move ahead with Medicare, Medicaid expansion and all those different things. So I really want to compliment you for that because it's rare to see that bipartisanship. And so to have those 9 Republican senators come over and be reasonable and move forward for everybody is critical for the future. So I hope that you can continue to work with them. I know they aired a special on the news last week that was actually filmed this summer, but it was a nice article about what I'd call the necessary 9 or the noble 9 that actually cross party lines to be bipartisan in their vote for the budgets and certain things. So it's really critical for me that they stay in their office and we support them. So I personally called up a handful of them to thank them after I saw the piece. So I want to give you that thanks too, because it's that working with the Republican Party that we can get things done. And that was demonstrative of that. So lemleps for that.
Una, let's call them the reasonable Republicans. I appreciate those words. Thank you.
Okay. So I will talk about a couple areas. One is MMIP. So there were two bills passed in the 69th legislative session in Montana that had to do with missing and murdered Indigenous people. House Bill 83 established a special revenue account so that the task force would have a mechanism to raise funds. Now they have an account and the ability to raise funds to support their efforts. This bill was drafted by request of the State Tribal Relations Committee, which is an interim committee I'll talk about later. There was an amendment when I was looking up the bill last night. There was an amendment authored by Tracy Sharp, who's House District 12. He also represents part of the reservation, and that was to provide that the funds in the account were subject to the Legislative Audit Act, and everything's under audit. So that amendment failed in committee. House Bill 545 amended the laws related to that task force. There were 4 changes. One was to add murdered. That task force only dealt with missing Indigenous relatives. So we added murdered to that. We changed the name from a task force to an advisory council. A lot of people in Indian country thought task force was like boots on the ground. If there was someone missing, that, this task force would, help do searches or whatever. So the name change properly reflected the capacity that those individuals serve. The bill also removed a member of the Montana Highway Patrol as a member of that, and it added a homicide investigator. So it also added language to appropriate $1 from state funds, providing House Bill 83 passed, and that's what was to help set up the account. Councilwoman Matt is our CSKT representative on that task force, or on the advisory council now, if she wanted to add anything.
It's a great bunch of people to work with. In order to fund that special fund, we're working on getting an MMIP license plate rolled out. Hopefully that'll be available this spring. Those funds will go to that special fund and hopefully help out Indian country throughout the state. Excited to have a homicide investigator there in the task force and address some of the murder, these unsolved crimes or lack of prosecution in a lot of areas. So I'm hoping we can not just search for our people, but get prosecution for our people moving forward. But it's been a pleasure to work with the advisory council. Right, one more thing. We've also sent 6 people to search and rescue training over the last 2 years. So 3 people this year and 3 people the year before. So they're from here. They're with our game wardens. Some of them are police officers and some of them are within our tribal security program here, but just trying to get some training. So when we need boots on the ground, we have that here.
Okay. So I guess I'll back up a little. I served on the State Administration and Veterans Affairs Committee in the House. Jacinda served on that same committee in the Senate. We heard a lot of bills that had to do with voter suppression, to be honest, partisan judges. One of the bills that did pass was where you have to write your birth date on the outside of your ballot now. And that caused a lot of problems for the county officials because people didn't do that. Who's next? The other committee I served on was local government. And then the third committee was Energy, Technology, and Federal Relations. This committee heard a lot of renewable energy issues, wind, solar. None of those passed. One bill passed, it was solar shares, introduced by Senator Chris Pope. And it was a lot of work to get it passed. And then the governor line item vetoed it. So what the interim committee is doing right now, they have 3 study bills. One is an interim study of artificial intelligence. Think about that. They're studying artificial intelligence. Kind of funny. The second one was an interim study on energy transmission, which we know we need more infrastructure in that area. And the third study is on the interstate power grid development. So anyone is eligible to watch these committees online. The next meeting is January 15th at 9 o'clock. You just have to register online. If you go to legmt.gov, and go to public participation. You can set up an account. You have to register 2 hours before the meeting. It used to be 2 days before the meeting. Now it's 2 hours. Energy is a new battleground, considering the pressure that data centers are putting onto Montana. Northwestern Energy has entered into letters of intent to provide as much as 1,400 megawatts of electricity to supply 3 new data center developers in Montana, which approximately doubles the utility's current average retail daily load. So they would need to make transmission upgrades and likely obtain new sources of electricity generation, which could lead to increases in utility bills for Northwestern's basic customers. The Montana Environmental Information Center, meic.org, is a good website to follow for these updates. Currently, they filed a challenge in November challenging Northwest Energy's intent to provide that service. And then there were several community conservation and indigenous-led organizations that joined that. They were represented by Earth Justice. So meic.org is a good website. And they also have a Facebook page that you can follow. This was the most challenging committee that I served on last session, but I will continue to serve on it next session because there really needs to be a Native voice at that table advocating for the life sources that we as Indigenous people are responsible to protect. So that's what I have.
Good morning. I think this is a good time to kind of segue in and I'm going to keep my focus and emphasis kind of brief, but I do want to hit some PowerPoints. And I think building on Representative Fiant's last remark about representation and being at the table is extremely critical. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples that related to some of the legislation we were successful in passing and how we tag money to that. So I was when I went into the legislature, I didn't really have I had a broad idea of things that I would like to do as far as committee assignments, and that kind of went by the wayside because of my previous federal experience and serving in a capacity in leadership. So I was assigned to the Appropriations Committee. And the Appropriations Committee on the House side is where the money gets attached to legislation. Every nickel, dime, and penny that gets attached to legislation goes through appropriations, and then it goes back over to the Senate for final approval and amendments and things and stuff. So I wanna talk about representation because on appropriations, there's 24 members who serve on that committee, and there are 3 tribal representatives that serve there. myself, Donovan Hawk, who represents the district at Butte, and Mike Fox, who represents the district that covers a portion of Fort Belknap and a portion of Fort Peck. So we're a minority on that committee, but we try to maintain place to represent not only our specific districts, tribal reservations in Indian country, and things that are going to benefit tribal communities. And I'm gonna talk here about a infrastructure grant proposal that came through. So at the very beginning of March, we started chugging through those bills, House Bill 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. In those bills is where grant funds and things like that are attached to large projects. And when I'm talking about grant funds, I'm talking about anything from $1 to $500,000 or like $40 million. So there's large amounts of money that are attached depending upon what the grant request is. In the beginning of March, when this process started happening for appropriations, there was kind of a little dust up, I guess, in the way things used to be done and the way they were going to be done in session 69. And so what happened is those senior legislators set an informal rule that if you were applying for funds for a project, that you would need to be present to support your application before the committee hearings and follow that application through to the point that funding could be attached. And so we had the Arley Water and Sewer District that had a grant proposal in, and they were not present and they were unable to connect. They did attempt, but they were unable to connect via Zoom for some technical reason. And so they weren't able to participate in the hearing process. So when that got into full appropriations, we went through and they removed all of the grants that for applicants who were not present, including the Arley Sewer and Water District, and that funding was $337,500. So it's a significant amount of funding. So we went back and forth. There was an amendment to remove it. That day that the amendments were happening, we were told that you had to be in person in the committee to be able to vote. There would be no votes accepted from anybody that was Zooming in that day. And I happened to be there. I never missed an appropriations meeting. And so I was the only one who voted against the removal of that project. And before that happened, I was told it's going to go across to the Senate. They'll have one more chance to represent their grant and to be here and to testify in the Senate hearing. And so I got on email immediately after we walked out of the appropriations meeting. I started sending emails. I found who the director was of that program, and I started pushing the need for folks to be here when that hearing was held before the Senate. Fortunately, they were, and the funding was returned, and the Arley Water and Sewer District received that funding for some of the infrastructure repairs that are necessary and that are needed to do. I want to build on some of the other bills because that when they come through appropriations, I serve on Section D of appropriations, which deals with law enforcement. So both the bill for Public Law 280 and also the bill for the MMIP funding came before Section D, and they were part of that process that we looked at when we were trying to take the funds that were allocated to Section D for law enforcement, justice services, and all of those other things that are bundled together in there. And we started looking at where we could carve out funds. the funding that we were successful in obtaining for that Public Law 280 bill was $7 million. And we scraped and scrounged to get that funding and fought hard to keep it there, to support the agreement between CSKT and Lake County regarding the Public Law 280 and the agreement that will come together with the tribe. The MMIP bill, even though I think that was one of the hardest fought floor battles we had, was over that dollar to create that account. And I'll tell you, it was traumatic. It was traumatic for me. I was so disgusted, um, emotionally drained, and just angry over trying to get that $1 to set up that account. But we did get it. And it's because we work across the aisle and folks recognize the need in Indian country, because 40% of the MMIP statistics that are out there are Indian people that are missing and murdered and unsolved crimes. Well, in Section D, we were able to attach $40,000 to that bill, specifically to support the forensic resources that are needed in addition to that advisory committee. So there is funding in there, but it's got a tag on it, and it's specific to providing resources that are necessary and needed um, for that advisory committee position. Um, Looking at what we were able to accomplish, there were 12 of us, 13 of us who are tribal members. We'll have another new member joining us um, here at the beginning of the new year. And we were a fairly powerful committee. When we look at these issues and we step forward as the Montana American Indian Caucus, we garner a lot of interest from other caucuses and other legislators who are trying to get business done. And every week we met on Wednesday. On any given Wednesday, there would be at least 100 people who would join us via Zoom, and those Zoom meetings are open to the public. All you have to do is request a Zoom link, and you're more than welcome to join the caucus when we get together and meet. And we would have folks who would come and present legislation that they were preparing and moving forward and asking us for our support. So we hold a relatively strong position because of strength in numbers, and I think the fact that we're also committed to the process and stuff, and the representation that we have is across the state. So I think every tribe is represented with the exception of Little Shell. But we do have strong legislators in the Great Falls area. So we're always looking for more representation. And I just want to close by touching on the commitment to communication, because I'm so extremely pleased to be able to get on today with the council and with the members of the public and be able to provide a legislative update. I wish we could do this on a biannual basis and do it every 6 months, so that we're getting a better flow of the needs that are out there in the community and the things that we can address. Of course, there's always the main topics, tax reform, Medicaid. Medicaid was a huge, huge turning point, because I think everybody fought really hard. Two of those two of the 39 critical care access hospitals are on your side of the mountains in Ronan and Polson. And so I watched that Medicaid bill to see how many of those um, hospital facilities that serve Indian country would be affected. And, taking care of business and paying attention. And like I said, first and foremost, having representation in the legislature, and then also having representation across the committees so that we have our business needs covered. So thank you for inviting me. And I want to thank Jennifer and Shelley for making sure I could get the Zoom connection to join you today. but if you have any questions, I'm sure all of us would be willing to take questions.
Thank you, Vitas. Go ahead, Shane.
Yeah, Hex Flex, good morning. Duly elected council members and re-elected council members, newly elected. Good to be here with you guys today. Shane Morjo represents Senate District 50. Obviously, Native representation in the legislature is important for everyone in Montana, I believe, our Indian communities, but everyone in Montana. We just got our 13th member in the Indian caucus. Katie Fire Thunder out of Bozeman got appointed to a seat. So I think we're by far probably have the most Native representation probably in a state legislature in the country. So we're really proud of that. We're excited to have her. She's a young person, and we're really excited to have her perspectives in the caucus. I'll keep my stuff short. You already heard about the Public Law 280 funding, but obviously that was really important for us because we know the tribes are working really hard to take on more, doing a lot more work to improve the court systems, expand the court systems to take on more felonies. And I think that's critical for sovereignty and tribal jurisdiction. And so we're proud to be a part of that to at least get some state funding to help with that expansion of what the tribes are planning to do. I know the healing court is something that really hit at the heart with a lot of the legislatures, and I think people are really looking for ways to reduce recidivism, not just lock people up and see them cycle through the system. One bill I just want to say one bill I'm very proud of is Indigenous Peoples Day. Took me multiple sessions to get that passed. I do often worry about it getting targeted in future sessions, I'll be honest. But I think the way we've celebrated that throughout the state, thousands of people throughout the state in different cities had celebrations this last year. So I hope to see that continue on in perpetuity into the future. Another bill that I want to make sure happens is Indian education for the legislature. I passed a bill last session to provide training. And so with the committee, the staff, and then the director of Indian Affairs, a training on Indian law is supposed to be provided to the legislature. It's been pretty spotty over the years. And I think it's just really important for the legislature to have that information when they're making decisions that impact all of the state of Montana. And we have all this complex jurisdiction. So I'm really excited about that. I'll end with these couple things. Rental support. We did not get enough done for renters in Montana last session. We did a lot for property taxes. We reduced the rate from 1.9% to 1.9, we increased it from 1.35% to 1.9% for second homes. So a lot of wealthy people that buy up homes and properties in Montana, I think we've seen that in this valley, we've seen it in Missoula. And so we did something about that to make sure that they're paying their fair share. And then we decreased the primary home rates for property taxes from 1.35 to 0.76%. Of course, there's brackets where that ticks up a little bit depending on how expensive your home is. But we made some great strides in property tax realm. Of course, the income tax was reduced, and that's going to create a shortfall next session with the decrease in income taxes being collected by the state of Montana. So we're going to be looking probably at cutting stuff next session, according to the last legislative finance committee that I sit on. So we're going to be making sure that we're trying to protect a lot of the programs that are important to Indian country, like ICE funding, Indian Country Economic Development Funds, grants, funds that go for aquatic invasive species, and so on and so forth. There's just so many things that we worked so hard over the years to make sure we got money put aside to ensure that we're lifting up our Indian communities across the state. The last thing I will say is voter protection. We've seen gerrymandering across the country, efforts to gerrymander states. That's really bad for Indian country. I think it's bad for elections generally. It's definitely bad for court elections as well, as they try to shift those elections down. Those things should be really on our flagged and on our high radar for us, because those things could really impact Indian country and our communities all across the state. So we want to protect our courts. We want to protect our voters in Montana, especially our Indian voters. And then lastly, I bring a bill every session to eliminate the statute of limitations for child sex abuse victims. I get it a little bit farther every session. I try every session to get it eliminated. I carried the bill that eliminated the statute of limitations on the criminal side, but we have not done the civil. We expanded the age to when someone can report, but we just need to get rid of that. There should be no clock on justice for child victims. And so that's one of those bills that I just would like that's one of my next targeted bills that I want to see get passed in some shape or form as a senator. So I'll end with that. And again, congratulations to everybody. And it's really good to see everyone. Happy New Year.
Do we have questions at all for our panel? Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Shane, thank you for your work, your due diligence, all four of you. I'm proud of all of you. And I'm proud at the tribal representation we have in Helena today and in the future. It's great. It's too bad it's set against a supermajority of Republicans, but it's demonstrated that bipartisan issues can happen and you can work together across the aisle. Talking about, affordable homes, it just seems like, in this area, you see it just in your face where everybody's taken they all have more than one home, or they have that mother-in-law house in the back. They're turning them into Airbnbs. They're renting them out. And so a super bunch of homes that could be helping with our housing deficit are being rented out as vacation homes. And so it seems to me like that would be an easy thing for Helena to look at as far as taxing those Airbnbs in a way that it provides for low-income housing or doing something better with it. The other one that's just in your face here, it's always been here, is to watch the mega homes around Flathead Lake be developed and have that ag exemption where they're not paying, enough for that. And they can afford to pay more in property taxes to support services that we need here in Montana. But I've always been after that too. I mean, it's incredible to see someone with a $15 million mansion and 5 acres of cherry trees. And then all they're doing is adding for, more bugs and more pesticides that we don't need. It's an iJokes orchard or whatever ag thing. And so I'd really like to see that loophole fixed. Both of those would benefit us as far as housing and added funding for government services. Thank you.
Yeah. Chairman, I can respond to that super quick. Chairman Dolson, Councilman McDonald, we did last session, I did mention second homes. We did increase the short-term rental tax from 1.35 to 1.9 as well. And then that goes up based on values too. So we did increase that tax as well. But of course, some of these things, we're going to revisit some of this stuff next session. And I think the points you bring up are on our radar, especially with the mega mansions. But I did, from a conversation we had before, I did write down into my bill drafts a lake protection tax. I think the tribes had said that you'd like to see some sort of funding stream going into lake protection for those really expensive homes, and exploring an option to where we might be able to take something on that to protect our water. So,
Carol, go ahead.
Yeah, good morning. And thank you, all four of you, for the work that you do on behalf of our people. First question is the reduction or increase in taxes, when will that go in effect? Does anybody know?
yeah, I think Mr. Chair, Councilwoman Lankford, I think that went into effect almost immediately back in July. Yeah.
Thank you. The other question I have is reform of people that are currently incarcerated. I have a question. I talked to a few people that are incarcerated, and I do have a son incarcerated. And they talk about the reform and the education processes that go on within the prison. And in Phoenix, Arizona, where my son's at, there's no kind of reform, no kind of education. And so I'm wondering, are there plans to bring those individuals back? And I think we've talked about this, Shane, and I know you brought something up in the committee that you were on. And I really have an interest in making sure that families get to go see families. I mean, they're still our families. We can't just throw them away. And I was thinking that the opioid money that we settled, we have some money put away, but I'd like to see some of that for an opportunity for families to go visit families. There's people now in Tennessee that were in this Montana prison now. They're in Phoenix, Arizona. But down in Arizona where my son's at, there's 30,000 inmates. And I think the first year he was there, 10 come up dead. And so it's pretty scary in these locations. And so I would like to see us help families travel. I'm not talking about Carol, I'm talking about families that really have needs and stuff like that. So I'd really like to know, is there a plan to bring them home?
Chairman Dolson, Councilwoman Langford, you bring up a lot of good points, and I can tell you, we've always opposed sending prisoners out of state. I think that's a waste of Montana tax dollars, sending people and giving another state the money from Montana. And also, I think it's a terrible way for families to be separated. Terrible thing for families to be separated, because part of the healing for people is to be able to see their families. And they are building another addition for the prison system because they've been beyond capacity. There's a lot of outdated facilities there. They just had a huge water failure at MSP, which was a whole thing. It was very expensive. I sit on Section D for the Senate Finance Committee with Thetis. And so these are things that we are talking about. We always oppose, we made motions to oppose sending folks out of state. We got outvoted on that, but we'll keep trying because I agree with you. We should not be doing that. I think it's a irresponsible way for spending money. And I think it's a failure as far as healing families and getting people to recovery in our state. And as far as grants, I think that's a good idea. Well, I can put it on the radar and propose it and see if there's options to provide grants for people to go visit. Especially if we're going to ship people out of state, I think we should provide some sort of assistance for people. So I can put a bill draft in for that.
The other thing, one more thing, Mr. Chair. They're really asking for spiritual and cultural guidance inside the system. And so if there's any way we could get access, I know I talked to Jimmy Molitor and a few other cultural people about, going down and providing some kind of guidance and bring some spiritual things with them so they have those things available, because it's a real need. And they only get a short time for their spiritual benefit, but yeah, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Councilwoman Langford, I know at MSP, they allow people to practice their culture and their Indian culture, and they allow them to sweat. And so I'll ask some questions on that in our next meeting. Okay.
Well, thank you, panel. Good to see you, Thetis. Lucinda?
Chairman Dolson, thank you. I just wanted to add to Councilwoman. Gosh, I forgot you. Okay, there are over 600 and some individuals in the Montana system right now that are in out-of-state prisons. And so that was one of the things that kind of raised the level of awareness for me is why are they there? Why are they being sent out of state to other facilities? And then the fact that we don't have the facility space here in the state of Montana, because you're absolutely correct. Those that are incarcerated here in the state do receive a different level of services, and those who are sent out of state receive absolutely no services. So one of the things that we did in Section D was dug a little bit deeper, and we have a lot of questions in the audit process that we're working on right now with state corrections and looking at getting data, more data from state corrections as to how those decisions are made and how services are provided. Um, in the state and then how those decisions are made as to who's going to be sent out of state. So we'll be getting answers to some of those questions as we go along in our interim quarterly committee meetings and stuff. We just had our first one in December. We have another one scheduled in March, and like Representative Fayette said, those are open to the public. You can if you want to testify, you have to enroll in advance, but you can get online and you can watch those committee hearings and hear the responses and stuff to some of that information and stuff that's there. So I just wanted to kind of provide that there, that there are ways those are some of the things that we are looking at. We don't have the answers yet, but we are digging and we will be getting a clearer response to some of those issues. So thank you.
Go ahead, James.
And thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me. Thank you all for your service. And I think it's pretty amazing to have 3 of our tribal members in the legislature. So thank you for that. And thank you, Thetis. The question that comes to my mind in terms of the prisons is I lost track of, he's a non-member friend of mine. I lost track of him in the prison system, and he's down in Mississippi. So, you know, I grew up in Helena and he's down there. So I'm trying to reestablish that connection with him. But there's a tribal member that I've been working with in the prison system for a number of years now. He broke his shoulder blade in Deer Lodge about 3 years ago. It's still broken. They will not allow him to get it fixed. He got out into pre-release and then he got in trouble, got put back in, but his shoulder blade is still busted. And I've tried to help him through the process, you know, contact the native rep with Department of Corrections and all of that process. And Defender's Office has tried to help him as well. But he still has a busted shoulder in prison. He was in Deer Lodge and now he was up at Shelby, but now he's back to Deer Lodge. But I don't understand that, you know, how a busted shoulder blade doesn't rise to a level of some sort of medical attention. I don't know what the level of the system, DOC, what point do they react? And I know they're limited funding and such, but you know, we had another tribal member a number of years ago that he had a health condition and died in prison because of the lack of medical attention. So I don't know, how do we, so that's just that comment, and I don't know how to help this tribal member of ours. We've rattled every cage we possibly can. So maybe with the 4 of you thinking about that as you engage with DOC, you know, what is their standard for helping people that are injured in prison? The other thing is thinking of, you know, we always are telling our people to vote. Why is it important to vote? Erica's going to give us a report on voting. But if the 4 of you could just quickly remind all of us, why is it important to vote? And why is it important for you to be in the legislature? And I think Thetis was touching on that. All of you have touched on that, but it does good to remind ourselves why it's important to vote, why you all are there and representing us. But if there's ways that you can help me figure out how to help this particular tribal member that is still injured with a broken shoulder in prison, that'd be great. Thank you.
So I would like to address that first. We have a tribal member who's a tribal liaison now, Mitchell Couture. So I will reach out to him regarding that. But when we can speak afterwards. Okay. As to your second question, you know, I think I heard when I was on council that, you know, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. And that's been very clear in some of the committees I've served on. When in my experience in the House, I thought I was going to mostly listen and learn and figure out the process and the people and the players. And it was week 2, I think, and someone made a comment about the CSKT water compact, which was not true. And so I had to stand up and correct the record. And from then on, throughout the whole 85 days that we served, I felt like I was on defense. And I think we can do a better job through our Pathways to Sovereignty strategic planning process to spread the Indian caucus around to different committees, depending on our expertise or our interest areas. And also, just on the House floor, just being ready to know what committees are doing. I think we can improve our communication internally to do that. So that's what I would say.
I want to say I really would. So I'm on state administration on Veterans Affairs, and that is not by its title, you wouldn't know it, but a lot of our voting bills and voter suppression efforts, not our efforts, people's efforts, go through that committee because it kind of ties really. It partners a lot with the Secretary of State's office, who is like our quote unquote top voter official in the state. So I am personally hearing a lot of Montanans come and bring their out of the box conspiracy theories to our committee, and they are using their right to come and speak to us. And what I would love to see is folks who are who see the voter suppression, who have seen their efforts to vote be infringed upon. I would love to see more people come and talk about those experiences. I would say right now we are going through, I see in the future there's going to be a big, it's been growing, but there's a big effort to affect the mail-in vote. And I saw from our own election that there were a lot of absentee voters who voted by mail. And the USPS, this is all a very big concerted effort from my point of view, to affect the vote. And I would love for folks to not only vote, but I feel like it's important to, it's not that you can just show up day of anymore and register to vote and vote that day, because that was something that happened this year. Is the actual registration, the process to become a voter in Montana has changed. And that has been an effort. I think it's in the courts right now, but there are little efforts all over the place to disenfranchise us as individuals to be able to exercise our right to vote. And so I would love for folks to show up to my committee. I have state administration committee on the, not next Monday, but the Monday after. I forget which date that is. But in a week and a half, I've got a committee where I know I'm going to hear the same 10 people talk about their problems with where they see problems with the voting process, but I would love to see other voices to bring up where I know that there are actual problems. And I think it's really a team effort. I can get on my mic in committee and say these things, but it also helps when I have backup, for lack of a better words, backup of people coming in to testify. My favorite part of being in committee is hearing individual people come to testify on these issues. Thank you.
I would just say we're tribal citizens, we're federal citizens, and by virtue of that, we're state citizens. And so everyone in this room is a citizen of this tribe, and we're a citizen of Montana and the United States. And I feel like we have an obligation as the state of Montana to represent every single person in this room, no matter who you are or what community you live in. And because you are, in my mind, also state citizens, Obviously, we have complex jurisdictional issues. We have wildlife management, aquatic invasive species, a lot of tribal members, and people pay property taxes. You know, we deal with a lot of stereotypes in the legislature. Every session you come back, always stereotypes that natives don't pay taxes, right? And then we have to roll out things and say, you know, here's the real truth, right? Also, tribes pay taxes in perpetuity when they were forced on the reservations. And so, you know, we also have pass-through funding like Medicaid expansion, federal funds that come through the state that are come through the coffers of the state of Montana. And then, you know, there's things like the Go Trust, which we passed last session, $90 million for childcare. Those things are important in our communities, right? Everywhere throughout the state of Montana, providing childcare, which is more and more increasingly expensive for people, and it's becoming something people can't afford anymore. And so those are the things that we worked on, that we fought to get into the budget last session, were things for childcare, long-term tax relief, low-income housing grants built into the Go Trust, and then pensions. We developed a pension fund that's long-term. So, you know, everything else we've mentioned today, I think there's so many reasons, but obviously that's why it's important to go vote, because the state crosses over jurisdictionally and has so many different funding sources that come through the state government to tribal governments.
Thank you for the question, and I welcome the ability to be able to respond. Like I said earlier, representation is one of the key factors that I campaigned on, and looking at that, having been a federal employee for 33 years and having worn the cloak of the Hatch Act and not being able to participate and really express my opinion politically while I was a federal employee, um, was probably one of the key factors that I stressed representation so much. And you know, Representative Fayette makes a good point. If you are not at the table, you are on the menu. And it is apparent when you get to the legislature. There is no learning curve. You are forced to get up and address and stand and educate folks from the get-go. You know, the ignorance about what we had to do to negotiate our state water compacts, what we gave up, you know, the challenges that we face on reservations, just all of these kinds of issues, threats to our fish and game codes and the ability to address issues in a sovereign manner as tribes are a daily issue on the floor and in committees. And if you don't have tribal representation there, um, that becomes the norm. And we cannot sit back and idly afford in this day and age to not have representation at the state level. The money that goes through there, like Representative Morajo said, the pass-through funds that come to tribes, those are controlled there at the state level. And if we are to be at the table and to be able to reap the benefits of the funds that were intended to serve Indians, to serve reservations, and to serve our tribes, we definitely need to be sitting in those chairs. We need to have representation, whether it's the four of us or those who will follow in the future. And we need to be really, really looking at and stressing the point of the get out to vote efforts and stuff. And you guys do an excellent job on that side. And I really, really appreciated all the help and support that I did get when I was campaigning, because I was committed to being a voice for the CSKT tribe as well as the Blackfeet tribe. So, you know, I guess I can't stress representation enough in it, and it's critical to have the support of the councils as well as to have the support of the people that we serve. So I'll just close because I could continue on for eons about representation. So thank you for providing us with the time and the opportunity today to be able to provide you with that, with our legislative report.
Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One more thing that's an issue for me, and it was gonna be part of my updates, but water quality, this is something really, of course, Shelley's talked about it many, many times, and I so much agree with her. How important our water is. And the state of Montana is undertaking a pathway to lessen water quality standards here. They've made the move administratively from going from a numeric, in other words, numbers that are science specific, that we can measure, measurable goals and targets and standards, to a narrative, which is backwards. It's backwards in time because we used to have narrative and it was just fuzzy. You couldn't enforce it. We had terrible water quality, pollution happening all over. And then through the efforts of entities like MEIC, Shelley mentioned them, there's been a change to go to numeric, and now it's going backwards. And that's very difficult for us because we have so many things that we're battling: water pollution, whether it's the cleanup of the Columbia Falls aluminum plant and arsenic leaking into Flathead Lake, or it's the new sewer system being proposed that's going to go in Lakeside. It's an injection system. It's going to take the developments from the growth up there in Summers Lakeside, new subdivisions, and inject that sewer into the groundwater and force it into that floodplain in the Flathead River system that we fully expect will leach right into through the Ashley Creek into the Flathead River. And then we have the same thing going on in Lake Koocanusa, where we have water quality standards there that are specific to try to counterbalance or show that there's a tremendous water pollution problem coming from Canada, from Elk River, from the open coal mines. And it's critical to have that numeric type of a standard. The Clark Fork River and Smurfit Stone, same thing, where we have all kinds of things that are potential problems there. But as those things all add up, and we're battling every one of those, we really need to have our representatives, and this is so great that we have 3 of our CSKT members in Helena, never before. To have your voices there and to have that, even though you may be on defensive, it's that edification that you do, telling that story, telling our side, and having that counterpoint is imperative. It is truly needed. And so as you move forward and we think about how we can protect things, please look at our environment. Please look at not supporting anything that lessens our water quality standards in Montana, but strengthens them, gives us more opportunity to do the right thing. Because I don't want to see more green rivers or algae blooms or any of those kind of things, or bull trout with defects in their jaws, or reproduction rates in our fisheries go down because of the pollution that's going on. Just appreciate your help with that.
Yeah, Chairman Dolson, Councilman McDonald, that was an extremely frustrating, multiple pieces of legislation last session. I sat on the Vice Chair for Natural Resources and watched those numeric standards bills come through. And we tried to coordinate with our partners who we felt would be potential votes. And they just got hit so hard by industry and locked up in votes. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle, we could not get them to budge off of moving those terrible bills forward. And there was a slate of them. There was a bunch of them. They really, in response to the climate change case, where Montana has in the Constitution, a right to a clean and healthful environment. And so I fully expect a lot of that stuff to continue to get challenged in the legal system, which is why MEIC and some of our partners are so important. But you're right, like those just got rammed down our throat all session, bill after bill, going backwards on pollution standards and water quality standards. And the only other thing I was going to mention is that I forgot to say is education system. The legislature funds our education system, public school system in Montana, which is so important for so many of our kids that go to the public school systems. And that's another reason why it's important to have Native representation and to vote.
Well, thank you, Thetis and Jacinda, Shelley, and Shane for being here today. And look forward. I think, Thetis, you have a great idea of meeting every 6 months. I think that's good. We'll look to schedule that. Happy New Year. Morning, Greg. Tell us about finance.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam Vice Chair, and members of council. To tribal members and staff that are guests here in the audience and those attending via Zoom, Happy New Year. The global financial position of the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribes remains robust and well situated for the future. The tribes have closed another fiscal year and now calendar year 2025 with meaningful cash reserves, liquidity, and investments. This allows the tribes to succeed without borrowing or lines of credit from the outside. CSKT maintains a strong balance sheet and finds expenses balanced with revenue to meet the needs of each tribally funded program and objective. This financial strength does not permit unrestrained spending, quite the opposite. Communication with the field is again focused on measured spending and calculated growth. We have been using the term pre-austerity for the last 24 months in anticipation of the loss of pandemic level funding across the organization, and we are guiding programs to be critical of their budgets and to think clearly about what is possible. The federal government shutdown during the first 43 days of the fiscal year highlighted past councils' prudent spending and financial discipline. And during the government shutdown, messaging to tribal members and employees was that benefits and staff levels would not be impacted. We use the term locally as business as usual. During the shutdown, council approved emergency allocation of resources to address the potential gaps in the LEAP and SNAP benefits for those in need. We are advising departments to look for changes coming from funding sources, more definition and more specificity. The direction from my office is to prepare to lean into those changes. We anticipate more political brinkmanship in the coming month as the final details of fiscal year 26 budget emerge. The budget department team will again ask departments to prepare and deliver annual work plans for fiscal year 2027 to help define programmatic spending aligned with meaningful outcomes. These outcomes touch the lives of tribal members, assist tribal elders, meet the needs of children and the most vulnerable. Outcomes related to the environment, the delivery of healthcare, and the natural resources under the tribe's stewardship and oversight. Aligning outcomes with spending helps define efforts and to meet tribal objectives. Each of your directors lead teams that get these completed, and I'd like to thank the acting Director of Member Services, Michelle Mitchell, and the Tribal Resources Director, Tony Inkashola, for their leadership in these and other areas. Thank you, Council, for your continued leadership and support.
Questions for Greg? Thank you, Greg.
Good morning, all.
Morning, Erica. Come on up and tell us about voting. Happy New Year.
Time is it? Esquek Specia, Kisukwithnum Kapiniskis. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Erica Shelby. I'm here to report on our Get Out the Vote efforts for this year's Tribal Council elections. First, thank you for the opportunity. This was our first time formally contracting for our tribal elections like we do for our state and federal elections. I wanted to thank everybody, the voters, all the election judges, the IOs, everybody who helped, especially the staff, Rob McDonald, Ruthie Swaney, there was so many people, and then everybody in administration, Jen, Jay Blue, Greg, Amelia, Lenny, the whole crew really is stellar. So thank you so much for the ongoing support. It's because of things like this that we're able to have, you know, the most representatives in the state and really dynamic things like that. So in front of you, you guys should all have the final report. And
in the email.
yeah, correct. Sorry, not a hard copy. Bing, I think you got a hard copy. And so I just wanted to touch on some of the highlights of this election cycle. If you will go down to the data section, I think that's what people are most interested in. So I provide you guys with an executive summary, first of all, and then I really wanted to hone in on the questions in there. How do we support, engage, and empower the tribal voters? Continue that. How can we enhance our election process to support the tribal voters as well? What is the best strategy for us to optimize our turnout? And then how can increased voter turnout strengthen our nation? So that's really what I tried to focus on in this report. So we have some key findings for you, as well as some recommendations, and I would be willing to, come back in and speak more in depth about those. But that was basically a compilation throughout the cycle, from voters, from judges, from the membership, different concerns that they had, and I said that I would pass those along. So I did the data for the 2023 election, but that is only counted by votes. And I wanted to explain myself because we haven't done this in the past. So generally we look at the turnout by who voted for who. So we go to the race with the most votes and we say that's how many people voted. But that significantly understates our turnout. And so when we are getting engagement, we want to be able to highlight those and get really good data on that to help us moving forward. So this year we were able to count votes by actual signatures and by the people going in and by the actual ballots. So when in the primary, we had in 2023, we had 690 approximate voters. And in the general, we had 1,095. In this cycle, we had 863 election day voters on their own, and then we had about 340 absentee ballots, as well as 178 contested voters, which gave us 1,381. That's a 34% turnout, which we know can be better, and a 26% increase from the 2023 general. The primary numbers, we had counted by votes as well, but that was 1,040, which is a 51% increase from the previous cycle. So with the state and federal elections, right, we have a really robust effort there, but that doesn't happen overnight. We've been working on that since 2012. And so, with that comes a lot of reworking of strategies and plans of actions, what works, what doesn't work for us. And so it takes time. So what I think we did here this year was built a really good foundation to move forward with. I have the rest of the data there for you. Participants by generation, I just wanted to note that, we could only find 12 Generation Z voters in the primary with our exit pollings. And this time we had 146, which is an 1,100% increase. So we were able to focus on them. So I think that's a really good example of, creating really tangible results for goals that we created and following through. But like I said, we can't do that without the support that we get. We also have for you participation by generations. So we broke down Generation Z basically gives us 11%. The millennials vote 22%. Generation X, 27%. The baby boomers are the most with 30%. And then the silent generation is still with us as 10%, and they are awesome. They're pretty much a 90% voting block, which is incredible. The gender gap, well, women outvoted men, 52 to 48%. And then I did some of your guys' out-of-district voters. I think a few had asked for that, so you can just take a look at that, and you use the percentage and just take that percentage of the overall, and you'll get the exact number if you want that. Our eldest voter was 99, Angelina Andrew, and her birthday is 8/18/1926. Our youngest voter was Anthony Alexander Jr., and he turned 18 the day before the election. So it's really cool to see, the age of all of our voters and everybody who participates. I really think that this brings us together, and it strengthens our nations in many ways. So we ran some analytics for you. We've been trying to work with IT and Rob and figure out the best way to communicate to our people what our channels are and how to maximize our efforts through those channels that are currently there. And so we did some analytics with you for all of our social media, things like that. Our first TikTok we made, we had like over 3,000 views in less than 24 hours. With our primary forum, it took us a week, but we got to 8,500 views. I haven't updated it for the general, but I'll figure all that out. We're still kind of crunching numbers. But those were just kind of some of the highlights that I wanted to give to you. And in the future, I have some ways that we can move forward here as well. So if anybody, wanted to discuss that further and more in depth, then I would be willing to do that as well. So thank you for your time, and that's all I have for you.
Thank you, Erica. Any questions for Erica? Go ahead, James.
Yeah, thank you, Erica, for your work. Just a comment on, we have you work and then we don't have you on it, then we put you back. I know Carol and I've talked about having a regular get out the vote instead of, just, okay, the election's over, let's get you back. Let's try to figure out more of a regular voting, get out the vote and registering people, and more of a concerted effort. One of the things that I've experienced down in St. Ignatius is the district for the city is kind of arbitrary down in the tribal homesite area. It literally goes like right over the top of the longhouse. And so people in that area that might be in the district don't always get a ballot. And so is there a way that maybe at some point, maybe I could have you come with me and sit in on a city council meeting, because there's a couple of the city council members that want more tribal voters in the process. And so, there's some miscommunication, misunderstanding as to why does the city want to annex the Salish Addition area. And I think it'd be good, and the city council is open to hearing us and hearing folks from our side to be able to include more tribal participation in the city council elections, or people that want to run for city council. I think we had a tribal member that wanted to run for city council, but he was just outside the district. And so that was another thing. But we definitely need a little bit of help and encouragement down there to allow those tribal members that are in the city that, one, they get a ballot and that they are able to participate in the city elections there. So, but thank you, Erica, for your work. It's much appreciated.
Anything else for Erica? Thank you very much, Erica. Do appreciate it. We do have one member that wanted to give a notice to the group. Michelle Usher, Miss Usher.
Okay. So, Kisukyukit Kukanmakut, Happy New Year. I wanted to come down and share some information in regards to Lake County's website. I don't know if you guys have any of the, there's a website that's called Cities, or city service or city serve. And basically you can search people's deeds, property, you know, and as it relates to tribal members, in regards to tribal credit, if you secured a mortgage through there, it's likely that your social security number, your name and address has been provided for public access. So, and there's a lot of them, a lot of names that I've come across. I think Martin, I came across your social security number. Who else? I don't think there was anybody else. But as it relates to tribal credit, when the county gets the paperwork, they're not redacting that information. And so to me, that's serious. That's putting people's stuff out there to be exploited. I'm always for one to to be putting the county on their heels, and I think that's an opportunity to address it. I had come across, I'm always looking at that stuff, and I come across some things, and I think there's a lawsuit there personally, because there's just it's blatant. The Ruth Hodges, she's the one that has to certify it. So she sees the paperwork. It's one sheet. And not just that, it also has your tribal ID number available. So I wanted to say in front of enough people so that they could go look at the website, see if your name's on there. And I gave the address to, yeah. But if anybody wants, a link, or you can find it on the Lake County website. I think people should, I think council should address it by maybe getting legal involved, and get it taken down.
I appreciate this notification, Ms. Usher. I really do. I'm not aware of it, and we definitely will have it looked into.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. And then there was some things that I had come across that I'll actually come down and bring up, because I'm still researching stuff. So, and that's what I do. So,
I would appreciate that. Carol?
Yeah, I kind of follow you, and I tell you, you really get into some interesting stuff.
mhm.
And I appreciate that you coming and reporting on something that I think is important to all of us, especially when it comes to our personal
Yeah.
information. But definitely, I do follow what you do put out, and so it's interesting. Thank you.
I do have one issue as it relates to the Chief Cliff Fire Service. A lot of the people on that fire service were also ones that supported non-members hunting on their own property. I don't know what bill that was. But they're anti-Indian from the Dayton area. The fire chief for the Chief Cliff Fire is Brendan Schoening. That's Rick Schoening's son, and he actually shot a deer on his property and then called Fish and Game. I have issue. I have had issue because when they were trying to evacuate us a couple of years ago, I was like, who are you guys? I don't know you guys. I know where your fire hall is. It's in Lake Marironan. And then as I had come across that they were trying to designate a fire hall, and I asked the question, and then I had all kinds of people respond. I guess I scared them, I don't know. But I did call Lands and talk with them about it because one of the, what do you call it, trustees, basically said, you know, that, yeah, Elmo is their fire hall, and it's on tribal land. And so when I talked to George Ducharme, he said that he wasn't sure if they had renewed their lease. So I was gonna get back to him and then share the response I had gotten from the trustee, because it was kind of golly, you know, and it's, you know, as it relates to, you know, hunting, you know, you would have to take that up with Brendan. And I intend to. I just don't feel like the type of, I don't trust them. You know, you can go to the doctors, you know, and as a native, you know, you're gonna probably get some sort of racist or discrimination, or you're gonna be, you know, gaslit. And that's how I see them. As it relates to Chief Cliff, because that's the whole reason why I do all of this, is because I'm trying to figure out a way to get them away from Chief Cliff, to stop what they're doing. And that's why I do all this. That's why I'm so mean, I just.
Well, thank you for that.
Mhm.
I really do.
Is there anything that you guys can, because I guess what I should say, the trustee said that if there wasn't a fire hall, there's like a 5-mile radius where people wouldn't be able to receive or to be able to get homeowners insurance. I thought, wow, she's just giving strategies. I mean, you know, I know tribal members have to have insurance, but it might slow down some of the people that are moving out there if they weren't just given this, you know, golly access to, because that we have young men out there that were firefighters. And I think they might do better to have something to do. So something else, you know, maybe for Elmo, or keeping it Elmo instead of all the mega that's moving in out there. It's kind of frustrating, so.
Appreciate that. Really
Thank
do.
you for listening.
Yes. I would like to add context matters. So that's why I follow Michelle. Thank you.
That's why.
With that, we're at the spot in our agenda where council member give updates. Jamie, would you like to give an update to start? Well, just give a greeting.
I don't have an update, but yeah, I have a greeting. First of all, I know that most of the drum group left, but thank you, Eagle Pass Drum, for the honor songs today. I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that supported me, and also for those of you that didn't, because regardless, I know that we serve the entire tribal membership and all of the reservation. So although I'm Polson District, I as well will be serving the whole membership. I think that that's a part of our job as council. And I just wanted to give a special thanks to my family for the confidence in me, your emotional support, and your love. That it means so much to me. Thanks to my fellow council members for the confidence in me as vice chair. I think that, as I said in my speech, they made us do speeches this morning. You know, I really think that building relationships is important for this council. And I hope to bring more trust and mutual understanding amongst the 10 of us, because I think that we have a big job to do. It's important serving the membership. And we need to serve the membership with transparency and respect to the membership as well. I think that's the most important thing. That's what I heard out on the campaign trail, and that's what I strive to do. And I hope that all of the 10 of us can work on that. So I just appreciate everyone that took the time today. I know some of you are probably tired from being at the medicine dances. So appreciate you guys being here, and just wish everybody a happy new year for 2026, and hope it brings everybody good luck and well-being. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lemlem Specia, thank you, everyone. Thank you all, relatives, elders, council colleagues, and congratulations to Greg and Jamie. Thank you for the prayers this morning and the drum groups. And I just want to say that we are a blessed people. We have a beautiful homeland. Those of you that have traveled to other reservations and tribal groups across the country, we are blessed. And I remember, and I've said this before, my grandpa Fred Decker and my grandpa Swede Steele, they were both World War II veterans. But I remember Grandpa Fred telling me, he said, when I was in the war, he was in North Africa. He was part of the Army Air Corps before it was the Air Force. And he made runways and such. And he would have to take out the booby traps, but he was overseas for many years. And he came back from the war, and he said, when I come over Valley Hill, he said, I cried because I didn't think I'd ever see it again. So we are a blessed people. We have fought for our homeland ever since it was established. And we all have to battle with our foes on the outside, that Indians don't pay taxes. Well, every one of us in this room pays taxes. And we see what's going on in Washington, D.C. and the craziness there, but our people have faced other crazy presidents in the past, and we've made it through. And it takes all of us. We're going to disagree, we're going to agree, but it takes us to protect the homeland here. It's not just the 10 up here, it's you too, helping us to protect that homeland. And we have a lot to be proud of. And I am honored and proud to be on this council. And I'm proud of my family and my relatives. I think of my grandma Josephine Morjo. She was a very political person. She ran for council back in the 70s. And to see two of our Morjo family in the state legislature, I could just see her beaming and proud, because she would be right there in the legislature with you if she was still alive. But thank you, people, for coming. Thank you for voting. Thank you for participating. Lemlemsh.
Thank you, James. Daniel? Hey. Stephen? Hey.
Yeah, I got a question for the councilman. The thing is, we should help it's getting a new year, so we should help the elders, And the thing is, some of us elders are working. I always have a rough time, and saying, well, I'm still working for the language and the old Indian ways. And the thing is, I always listen to Pat Pierre when he used to work for elders. We used to have a person, one from Elmo and one for here. They used to come to the houses. He used to tell me, come to the houses and check on the elders. Because some of the elders, they don't have a car, they don't have a way, they don't have, how come we can't have a way like that used to be like that? You understand what I'm saying? I don't even understand myself. But the thing is, to go up and help the elders, check on them, see how they're doing. Maybe they need a cook, I need a helper to clean their house and all that. But the thing is, you guys, as people just, well, somebody needs a job, let's send them over. But we got to trust the ones that will clean up the house and cook for them and be honest, not to steal from you, not to take anything. I remember my sister Alice, when she was still alive, she used to say, when she got sick, and she said, we just can't send somebody up there to help him. Then when Pat Pierre was working in there, he used to make sure everybody had whatever they needed. This is a new year. We should help the elders. We should have one in Elmo and one in Arley and maybe one in Ronan. It's really hard. I go to work. My wife is sick. Who's going to clean up the place? Me? And to get the pills or whatever they need. It gets pretty tough. I'm an elder. I'm 86 years old. And I'm really lucky. I still could dance and run around and go to work. But some people can't. Why I come in here and ask the tribe, the council, it seemed like I never could get an answer. Oh, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week, or we'll talk about it when. We want to answer right now. How could we get help again like we used to? Are we getting poor? Or they always say the Flathead Reservation is a rich reservation. Maybe we are poor. I don't know. But I want some answers. I think some of us elders need some answers. Sometimes you have to beg to get a ride. That we should turn around, and help the elders and say, hey, I think I will. A long time ago, the elders used to be the bosses. What they say, it goes. Not anymore. They tell us what to do. Yeah. When I go to the elders down the St. Ignatius, they come and say, well, this is what we're going to do. We should be telling them. No ways. We should be telling you guys. That's what I'm asking for. For the elders. I'm an elder. To clean up the house or need pills or whatever. Some of us don't even have gas for our cars. Some of us, we don't even have a car. Then I go down and get my pills. And that's another thing. I don't know who gets the pills. The Suriapis. I'm related to everybody. It's just, I'm just asking you guys, don't bow your heads, please. Just look at me.
Go ahead, Carol.
Yes, Stephen, there's answers to every one of your questions. But to start out, some of those answers maybe are something you don't want to hear, and it's hard for me to say. It would be hard for anybody up here to say. One of them is that, you know, your wife being a non-member, that's part of it. But on the other hand, there's also assistance that can be provided through other mechanisms. So that would be the first step, is to work through that to get her some in-house assistance through other programs. That would be the first part. Secondly, we care deeply about our elders. In fact, I think today is the day for the elders payment, isn't it? Yeah, so that came out today. So you have $700 in your account that hopefully will help you carry through, maybe with the power bill, gas, or others. It's, I think, 65 and above. And I don't think you have to apply anymore, but I could be mistaken. And so, you know, we try to do what we can with the funding that we do have, and we try to stretch it as far as we can. And I know every time you come in here, we listen to you and we try to do what we can for you. And we just, sometimes it's not always possible. But there is a lot of assistance for elders through all of our programs. You just need to let us know what exactly that you need. But the dilemma is that your wife being a non-member provides a little bit of a challenge, something we can still help you work through if, you know, if it sounds like she needs some in-house care. And I would hope that somebody maybe from Tribal Health would pick up the ball and say, yes, Stephen's wife needs some assistance. Let's figure out what we can do. But you got to also remember they've got 7,000 members to deal with, so they're a little shorthanded also. And so I think we try to do what we can for you.
You know, the thing with me, you know what I come to when I was talking before. I went to the Earthlines, I went to Pierce, South Dakota, then I went to Haskell, you know. Then when I got back, I couldn't even get a job to get educated, you know. I come back here, full blood Ponderay. I come back, I said, whoa, I'm gonna get me a job. I didn't. I worked in the woods for 31 years, you know. And the thing is, I'm not talking about myself, I'm talking about somebody else, you know. You look at me like I need the help, you know. No, it's a lot of people out there, you know, that are, you know, they need help.
We hear you.
You
Stephen.
have to go to see the people who needs help, not the people that come here, you know, and they still could walk in here and say, hey, I need help. Then pretty soon you guys are saying, no, come back next week or sometimes, you know, do it now and say, hey, we could help you. We're the councilmen. We're the chiefs. We could help you right now. That's what I'm talking about. I'm a full-blood Indian, you know. I'm not the one that needs the help, eh? And $600 is nothing today, you know. Not even $100 is nothing today, you know. The way the money is, you know. Go ahead.
Stephen, we have our elders program and they have home visitors and caretakers. And I know they work hard to get out there and see as many people as they can. Like most other departments and other places, they have a hard time hiring staff and they want to make sure they get somebody in there that's not going to steal from you. So the hiring takes a little bit of time because we want people we can trust to go into the homes and help us take care of our elders. So we've got the programs in place. If you know of good people who would be good home care providers, encourage them to go apply at the elders program because they can use good people. I know I'm always encouraging people to go and apply over there, but we want them in the home, but we've got to have the staff and the availability to do it. And I'd also encourage, you know, in our communities for, if you have a free moment, you know, and you're young enough or able, go help out your neighbor, your elders, you know, it takes a community and our community members, I think we need to step up for each other and take care of each other, because it doesn't all fall just back on the tribe. We're doing what we can, but we've got to come together as people too and take care of each other. But thank you, Stephen.
You're saying we don't have enough money to hire for elders to go to the houses like Pat Pierre used to do and try to help the people, hire somebody and say, hey, I'm going to work for you, People are looking for jobs, That's what I hear. They're looking for jobs and asking you guys, how could you help out? It sounds like you're saying, well, I don't know, You should be trying to help us out, As elders, I'm talking about the elders, Not me, but the other elders. I'm so lucky that I'm using my language, I could talk Indian, I could talk, that I got a job at the Kusum, But I, Pat Pierre and old lady, we used to fight with you guys, about wood, oil, help us out, Yeah,
We still do that,
the way I hear it, seems like you guys can all help. You guys can all decide. One decides, the other one doesn't. One decides, the other one. You guys all have to decide as one. That's what I'm saying. I'm not there. I'm just asking for the elders to help.
We
Elders were the bosses when I was very young, There are chiefs, We had to do what they say. You guys are the chiefs, If you can't help out, well, it's a new year, Start something that we'll be happy about. That's all I'm asking. I'm not calling you guys out. Yes, I am. Let's go outside. There's 20 acres out there. Pat Pierre used to say there's 28. Some people just come here. What use coming to the council? They don't help out anymore. I hear that quite a bit, They come to talk to me. What for? I'm nobody. Thank you. Yes, help me out.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Let's see. My update, I'll try and be quick. It's kind of been a busy last quarter when the government was shut down. I've just got to really say thank you to DHRD and all of the departments that stepped up in regards to the SNAP response food sovereignty program. It was just amazing to watch everybody come together and work so hard to make sure we could keep our communities fed. Tribal health, doing different community meals throughout the reservation. It was just amazing to be a part of that. The elections, congratulations to our new council members and our returning council members. It's an honor to work with you guys for the next couple of years here. Our election judges, oh my goodness, the amount of work they do and the time that it takes to take care of the election and do it right. Those ladies and men really need a pay raise, in my opinion. They do a lot of work, but a lot of these things don't happen, without things happening behind the scenes. Jen, Jay Blue, Lenny, just Greg, legal team. My gosh, Dan was out here with us. So, it really takes everybody coming together to get things done. Busy in the community. We've got a new building down there. I've pushed for access to resources in our small community, and I think we're really making a good headway on that. Yeah, Thanksgiving, Christmas meals down there, and I just got to really thank some of the older people in my community for their continued encouragement and helping me find the strength to keep going sometimes when it gets overwhelming or things are heavy, I've got some good people to lean on for that support so we can keep growing and building together down there. Sit on the community advisory board for Pathways to Wellness. That's been going really, really well. That's through the education department here in coordination with the University of Montana. I'm hoping for good things to come to our small school system down there. MMIP, gosh, still going strong with that advisory council. Hoping for roads. I'm going to keep pushing for roads in our community. We need them so bad. But want to wish everybody a safe and happy new year. And thank you guys for your continued support. And I look forward to a great year.
Thank you, Danielle. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to thank everybody for coming today and thank those that prepared the food for us today. And prayers from Stephen, the drum, and all those that voted, everybody who ran. And certainly congratulations to the folks that are here. And I look forward to working with this great council that we have here today for the next 2 years and beyond. I also want to thank the council members that weren't reelected. I want to thank Jennifer and Jimmy. And I want to have a special thanks to Jimmy, because Jimmy brought forward to Alan Pierre the need that we need to have a staff here in the council chambers. And if it wouldn't mind if maybe Bang or Martin could hold up the staff that we have that Alan gifted us, and we're going to make sure it's here. But that represents our people. Before the United States was created, before the treaty, before the state of Montana, that symbolizes our people. And so we want to make sure that that's returned here to the council chambers. We had one previously, it disappeared. And so we were gifted that. You can see every feather means something, as Alan crafted it for us, and then put all our tribes' names on that flag. And so we will be prominently providing that here in the council chambers into the future. It's a good signal for us coming up into the next year. And as we move forward, it's a strong symbol for us. And so I really want to thank Jimmy Molitor for making that happen, and Alan Pierre, and for Francis, who also brought it up. Francis all brought up the topic. So lemlems to them. And want to make sure that happens. Thank you, Bing. The other thing I just want to spend some time about is things that we have ahead of us. We need more resources. And so we'll be, at least I'll be pushing along with the council to make sure our enterprises can provide more resources for us to provide good services, whether it's elder care that we need that's missing. We talk about everything that Stephen brought up. We talk about that almost weekly. Are we going to elders' houses? Are we doing safety checks? Are we doing this? How are we advocating for our people? Even be able to go for other assistance, whether it may be Lake County Raging or whatever it might be that Carol's referring to for Stephen's wife. We look at that all the time. We purchased a rest home and we tried to buy 2 and failed at that. But we have the retreat now that's a new service for our elders that can't stay in their home. And so that's really important for us. One of the things that's just facing us, that's in your face, it's in our face this whole last month. And if you're in Polson and you look at Flathead Lake, you see it. It's right there. I have never in my lifetime seen Flathead Lake at full pool in December. Never has happened. What you're seeing out there this last few weeks is of a historical record. The only time that occurred like that was when there was the ice age before us. And we were forming the glacial moraine there at Polson. And it carved out that new river that goes outlet of Polson. So to look at that and say, well, what was the dramatic force that caused this? We have Flathead Lake at full pool at the end of December. Well, it's climate change. It's in your face. There's so many things associated with that we need to deal with. And it's going to be a challenge for us. It's going to be a challenge for all of us to be able to deal with that. Whether it's wind events that we witnessed also in December, more commonly, frequently happening as we have a warming climate, or it's drought, or it's large fire landscape driven events. Those things are facing us, and there's going to be challenges for us to come together as a people and protect our resources and protect our people, their homes, and our livelihoods. So that's going to be a great challenge. I look forward to working with this council, looking forward to that. And I hope that's all the greatest success we can. The other thing is jobs. So part of the challenge that we have is that economic stability for us and our people, to have jobs, that they come here and they can have a job, that we have jobs that they can do, that we have the vocational training that's necessary for our people to do the jobs, where it's building trades, or maybe it's agriculture. You know, we have more and more land that we're buying. Our goal is to buy this entire reservation back. But you know what? We need to earn a living. We need to feed ourselves, and local produce and agriculture is critical for that, for our future. So it's important for us to be able to train our people to be able to do that farming activity on our land, provide a good job, good employment for our people, and do it in the respect that's needed to treat the land to the long-term needs of our people. So that's really interesting for me to see what we can do for vocational training, working with the college, working to expand whatever we do for business and economic development, that we're providing that training for our people, that we have good jobs. The other thing is looking for those businesses and opportunities that give us that ability to expand. Looking at successful businesses that we might be able to buy and operate and take over. It's a good business model to try to do. So we'll look at that. Opportunities that we've been looking at from a travel plaza in Elmo, or a new entrance to the Bison Range, or what other economic development ideas we might have. But one of the key things also is how we acquire property, and to use every tool we have in our tool bag to do that and be able to take care of it. But every day, more costs come at us. The federal government shrinks, budget shrinks, and so we have to make up that difference. A lot of our tribal resources go to those functions that really are obligations by the federal government to provide to us based on our treaty, and they're not doing it. So we have to make up that difference. We have to provide those services, and we want to make sure that we were able to do that. So we really need to look at a lot of different economic opportunities for us, and look at our current corporations to expand, and look at new corporations. So I look forward to working with this council into the future for those things, whether it's different gaming, or it's businesses, like I mentioned, for a travel plaza. You know, it might be something else that we look at, but there's certainly a lot of opportunity there for us to work on. The water compact is a huge thing, and we're trying to maximize that to the best we can to provide jobs for our people, keep that money in-house as much as we can. Because if it goes outside contractors, it disappears. We might have some subcontracting going on, but really it's us trying to do it all. We keep it in-house, we keep that recycling inside. It's a win-win for us to be able to do that. That's economic development in its finest. So I look forward to working with that, and especially working with Greg. You know, Greg brings a lot of experience that I value to the table here at this council, so I'll be looking forward for that. I've been assigned by council a couple different things, and one of the important things is dealing with the water pollution coming down the Kootenai River. It's a massive coal mining up in Canada in Elk River Valley, and council pointed me to the International Joint Committee that's overseeing that, trying to come to a resolution or come to a way to reduce the water pollution that's up there. And I look forward to continue to work on that. We don't have any solid solutions yet. Our study commission's still out. We'll start getting reports back this year, and I really hope that we can do some good headway there to try to do that. The other thing council put me on was the Columbia River Technical Management Team, which is the reason why I don't go to elders meetings anymore, because they meet at the same time. And so for the last 2 years, I've been participating on that. And that's talking about Flathead Lake levels. That's talking about the water system in the Columbia, and salmon flows, and our resident fish flows. And so it's a pretty important topic. I will try to find some staff members, maybe Casey there, or somebody that might be able to help me out or take that position, so I could maybe go to elders meetings again. But that's an important role. We have to be able to defend what we do here on managing the Flathead Basin. and our opportunity to manage the lake for the benefit of our people and our resources. So I look forward to that in the future. With that, I'm just going to shut up because I've already talked way too much. But I just want to say thank you for coming today. Appreciate everybody who voted. I appreciate this council members that left. And I want to give thank you for our great staff that supports us all the time here in council, Jen and Jay Blue and Lenise. She does a wonderful job. So I just want to thank everybody. And then, of course, all of our staff here with the tribes. Lem Lepsh.
Thank you, Tom. Bing?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank everybody else for being here today. I want to thank Steve for his prayer this morning. The Eagle Pass Drum for their honor song, flag song this morning. It's good to hear them sing all the time when they're able to hear their young group, and it's good that they're doing this. Tom had a lot of stuff to say there, what's going on, and then we've been pretty much, a lot of us have all been dealing with it. He comes back, tells us, we all hear what's going on, especially with the water situation over there in Kootenai, Bonner Prairie country over there. It's hard to hear. I mean, it's hard to hear that the Canadian government would let that happen, and polluting our rivers like this, especially the big sturgeon that they have down in Bonner's Prairie down there that they raise. As to see those fish, how big they get, and they turn around and they want to kill them, or get rid of them because of the pollution that's going to be sent down that river. There's a lot of things like that that's going on, and it's sad to hear. And then we got some going on right up here in Columbia Falls now, or up here now, and doing the same thing up here. And it's hard to hear that they want to pollute our lake. And that lake is something else for our people. It means a lot to us. And it's just sad to hear that people don't care what they do to it. But it's just the idea of hearing what goes on here around our valley, so that the people just don't really care about what happens. And we try to fight about everything that we hear. We fight about, right with them and try to keep it from happening. We do a pretty good job mostly with it. But yet there's still things out there that we're still working on, like Tom said, there's still things out there that needs to be done. It was good to work with Jimmy for the years that I've been on here. This is my 11th year I've been on council. And it was good to work with him, and while he's been here. Sad to see him go, and I welcome Greg to the council, along with Jamie, her return again. Tom and Carol and Lenny for being reelected. I'm glad that they're back. We need that leadership. We need the people that know what's been going on and dealing with the issues that we have been working on. Mike, back as a chairman. The new appointees for officers like that, Jamie and Carol. But it's just the idea of us having to do what we got to do here. We're trying to get it done. We do the best that we can to get things done. And we have a lot of other tribes that talk about this tribe. Been to different places, they say that. First one they bring up, especially in forestry. First one they bring up is Salish Kootenai. Salish Kootenai. Salish Kootenai. That's all they talk about. They're number one on the list. And it's good to hear that when you go to different places and you hear them talking about our tribe. How much they're advanced, more advanced than these other tribes are. Stephen is talking about money that we had and do that or try to work for our people. We do what we can. And we probably go more and above to do what we're doing for them. I get calls all the time from elders from up at home up there for roads that are icy. They need gravel. They need plowed out. They need everything that goes up, that goes along with the winter that when it comes along. There's a lot of things that we need done. Come here and I react in the morning on Monday morning. I report to council that I got calls that they need gravel up there. So much ice where we live up there in Shalai country up there. Lots of ice, lots of snow when it comes up there. It's hard to get, have those services not provided when they're needed. But, it's the idea of just people that are there, that's their home. We have quite a few elders that live up there in that community. And it's sad to see that we can't get the things that they need. But I just, the people here, it's good to see that you're here. And hear what's going on from the council. It's, we have a lot of council members that left us. We have a lot of people that leave us every year. Last powwow, we had 150 that we lost last year from last year's powwow to this year's powwow. And we're headed in a good pace again with the people that we're losing. The last, I don't know how many we lost in the last couple of weeks, but we lost quite a few in the last couple of weeks. It's sad to hear that we're losing these people. Some older, a few younger, but we're losing them. Stephen said he's the elder. He is an elder. We're all getting up there in age. Baby boomers are starting to dwindle. But it's just a shame to see and hard to hear that every year such and such passed on, such and such passed on. And you just talked to them a week ago or so. They've been in here in council, talking to council. Now they're gone. But it's just a shame to hear that all these people are leaving us. And the families that lose them. Pray to thank Kulun Sutin for giving them the strength to deal with that. But it's tough. I hear all these losses and stuff. I just want to, I guess I'm like Tom, I get talking and I don't want to shut up, but I want to thank everybody for being here. I really do. You know, another new year, 2026. Be a few months before I learn how to keep 2026 on my papers. But thanks again for being here. I appreciate it that you're all here, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Bing. Lynn?
Thank you, distinguished membership, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. I will be very brief here. First of all, let me start by thanking you all for taking the time to be with us here today. I would like to also acknowledge the services of Jennifer Finley and Jimmy Molitor. They were very instrumental in many tough decisions that we made throughout the past 4 years with them. You know, it's an honor and privilege to work for you all. When as your leaders, we are your leaders when we are in Helena and Washington, D.C. But when we're here on a reservation, we're your servants. And it's very important that you all take the time to stop in here on Tuesdays and Thursdays and make an appearance to remind us who we work for. That's important. That sends a strong message. As we move forward, the Tribal Council has made a decision to reorganize our tribes. Primary purpose of that is to try to provide better services. We realize that the last reorganization was not meeting that goal. We've seen it. And we had to make a drastic decision to make the changes. As we move forward with that, I will be very cognizant of the employment issues, especially when it comes to non-member employment contracts. I feel that we need to make sure that our tribal members are giving fair opportunities before we offer non-members employment here with us. We need to make sure that there is a checklist of some sort to assure that everybody was giving a fair opportunity. We understand that accountability has been an issue, making our employees accountable, making our employees understand that they also work for you. Every single one of them, regardless of what their capacity is, they all serve you like we do up here. That's very important to me, especially being in this office for the last 3 terms. We are here for the membership. We are here to make sure that we're providing the services that you all need. It's been an honor to work with the council up here. I will continue to have those tough discussions, those tough issues that we need to talk about, that we need to deal with. And I feel very confident that there will be changes. And in conclusion, I am very optimistic and excited about the new Elmo Travel Plaza. I will be really aggressively pursuing that we move on this sooner than we're planning. I think it's very imperative that the Elmo community has those store services now. But with that said, I will wrap it up. I want to thank you all once again for being with us today. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Lynn. Martin?
Well, much, Mr. Chair, that's still out. Pesniakoke, Munch Pesiad. So a lot of the things have been said. And as always in January, it's our time to kind of be quiet and prepare for the new year coming up. The last quarter, we lobbied for the forestry unification that's happening with them and as a result of the administration. And so we're lobbying at NCAI last month for that. It's kind of it's a really difficult situation because a lot of the BIA staff don't even know what's going on. They have direction, but no real leadership or people stepping up. Some of these organizations that are out there lobbying are trying to help the tribes. Fortunate enough to be elected to as the regional vice chair of the Rocky Mountain region for NCAI. So that means I get to travel a little bit more, as much as that's not the most fun thing to do lately. AIS, the aquatic invasive species, our check stations are actually starting to gear up for this upcoming year. We had a lucky catch at our station in Ravalli. Mussel infested boats are making their way. They're on their Tabor Reservoir over in eastern Montana, and the Snake River in Idaho. Once they're here, they're not going anywhere. So with that, I do want to send condolences to the Claremont family. See Dennis in the back there. We lost a good one, and well before her time. And so, especially during these holiday seasons, it's important to check in on your family, your friends. You know, the services are over, but the healing continues, and it feels like Bing said, you know, the death in this community is heavy. And so, you know, as the days start getting longer and our vitamin D levels start going up, you know, some people don't. You know, check in on them, make sure they're good. You know, like Stephen said, elders are important to check in on, but also our youth. We kind of have a lost generation with our youth, and prayers for all of our lodges and all of our leaders that make sacrifices now for the rest of the year. So, Lem Lynch.
Thank you, Martin. Good.
Mr. Chairman, you're wiser than I suspected. So the trick in dealing with a guy who talks too much is put him on right before lunch, right? So that's what he's done. So, quick council update. I got swore in. You know, in the last 3 hours, I've heard some important things being said about accountability, about communications, about transparency, about the importance of our culture, of taking care of our elders. And all of those things are all good. It says that we're on the mark. We're thinking as tribal people in those important ways. Now our challenge, that we've said that, is to do that. There's an old saying in quality management And I have to apologize if I get to be too bureaucratic or talk about my department head days or CEO days at a corporation, but I've learned a lot in the last 50 years about what quality management is. And it's very, very simple. You say what you do, then you do what you say. If there's any discrepancy, you don't have quality management. You have to say the right things. We're saying the right things. Now we need to do the right things to be a good quality organization, to give you as the membership the things that you deserve. We need to learn how to do those things that we say. And in doing that, we need to do it with you. We need to have the feedback of the people. Stephen, you're not wrong in advocating for the elders in those things that you said. And I understand your frustration and share your frustration about what having to come in here all the time and keep talking about the things that the elders need. And I'm not saying that what has been done so far is bad. But we need to move forward and do better, particularly for those things that we hold up as our tribal values. It's in our mission statement. It's in our vision statement. There's a reason that our elders come in here and talk first at these meetings. There's a reason why our elders carry so much respect, because they are very important in terms of what they offer, how they help us, and the connection that it gives us to those things that are important. So we need to take care of them. We really need to do that as a cultural value, and we need to get better at it. I don't know what is being done so far, but I can say, coming off the campaign trail, one of the things that I heard most from community to community was, we need somebody to be looking in and on our elders. I heard that in so many different places. So, Stephen, I'm brand new. I've only got about 3 hours under my belt, but looking at how to improve what we do for elders is something that I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to come back and report on that. And if I don't have a good answer for you, I know I'm going to be in big trouble, because I don't want you to let me off the hook, and you never have. So don't start now. So that's it. I want to wish everybody a happy new year and ask that you join me in doing something a little bit different this year than perhaps what we've done in each of the previous years. We start out with good hopes. We start out caring for each other. We shake hands at jump dance. We shake hands at medicine dance. We come together as people right around the first of the year. And then not very long after that, things start to drift back into normal, and there's some of the animosity and some of the anger and the frustration starts to come forward. I'm asking each one of you to join me this year in trying to hang on to this spirit that visits us at this time of year. Hang on to that for as long as we can through this year. Let's not abandon that as quickly as we have in the past. Let's hang on to that. Let's try to make it all the way through this year, but at least hang on longer than we have before. So there's a lot that we can do together as people, and it begins with us hanging on to the spirit that brings us together at this time of year and committing ourselves to the things that we can do this year. So I am honored to serve each one of you. Whether you voted for me or not, it's an honor to be here. I'll be honest with you. after spending 50 years in different tribal positions, going all the way back to the tribal Dixon days, I never thought I was going to be sitting up here, and I'm having a hard time believing that I actually am. But I am honored and humbled to be, as Len put it, your servant. Your servant. It's that means a lot to me. So thank you all for being here today. I hope you all can drive safely and can hang on to this Spiritus with us for many days and weeks and months to come. Thank you all.
Thank you, Greg. Carol?
I think it's all been said, Mr. Chair. I'll keep it short. I'm humbled and honored to be sitting here for my final term. I'm done after this. And I will put it in writing if anybody needs it. Secondly, got a little emotional because I went to the jump dances last night and I got home about, I think 1:30, between 1 and 2 anyway, and couldn't go to sleep. So it was a nice night though to be there with so many people, so many young people. And I go back to Franny's message of being positive about things. And I think that's, during this election, and I'll tell you, elections are hard. People don't think, well, they can look at you and say, oh yeah, you're just, going through this process, like an old hand, but it is the toughest thing a person has to go through. So I would say, and seeing some of the negative stuff that was out there, I would say, Franny, your message is loud and clear. We need to keep it positive. We've got so much going on, and this council is the best, just like the last council was. They were good too. And every council before that, and you just look up on the wall and you see all those pictures and you remember all of the contributions those people made. And so I just look forward to this tribe doing great things and continuing to do great things. And we've done so much to this point. I look at Ronan and I see all the building that's going on there. I can't imagine the Department of Engineering and Water Resources. Housing Authority has a building going up. They're going to do a second circle lodge. We got push and play playground coming in. We've got pickleball. We've got a basketball court. We've got all of this stuff coming into this town of Ronan. And there's other communities experiencing some of the same things. And so we've just got so much thing, but it's not stuff that Carol does independently. It's the body. And then it's our membership giving us the opportunity to do it. And so I just want to thank all of you for coming, and I hope you're able to partake in the jump dances because it's really a good feeling. And thank you, council, for serving. And I do miss Jimmy and Jennifer. It's hard to see people go, but then it's also nice to see new people step up and come in. And just like I said, this is my last term, but I am honored to be able to serve this last 4. So thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I think you've heard all of it from everybody pretty much. And I will reiterate my thanks to all of you for coming today. Thank you, Stephen, for your prayers and the drum group for the drum. It's always good to get the heart of the tribe going with that drum. They've mentioned all kinds of issues that we have at hand and we're dealing with. And, we hear a lot of, lack of a better word, complaints. But I've been here long enough to see there's been a lot of activity going. A lot of elders served over the years that I've looked at. A lot of assistance in so many different ways. And we can't forget that too. As Carol said, there's those folks on that wall over there. They did a lot of things while they were on this council, and positive things. We're not perfect. There's no doubt. But we hear you. And we will continue to move forward. Happy New Year. Definitely be safe. And thank you for coming. Take that, Jamie.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Mhm.
Thank you all.